Hi guys, welcome to day 3 of My Preferences Matter month, which is what we're focusing our Blissipline on for April of 2018. So hi, and I promised to talk about anger and so if you don't want to hear about anger, hang up now. And actually we're going to have a live call on Thursday at 1 o'clock New York time, so you can come there and we'll talk about whatever you want to. But just today, I want to focus on anger because anger gets such a bad rap. That was my little post-it note. Anger gets such a bad rap, and it really is something that is a part of our emotional guidance scale. It's enormously valuable, and yet because it gets such a bad rap, we tend to discount it, judge ourselves, make ourselves wrong for having it, etc. So I want to reclaim our right to use the emotional guidance scale in its entirety, including anger. And and so, you know, everybody's in a different place here. You might be on a super high flying disc. This is the last thing you want to hear. Turn it off now. But if you have a lot of anger in your own life, or resentment, if it's feeling like resentment, which is kind of the same thing, then this might be helpful to you. Okay. So anger is one of the ways our internal guidance system lets us know that we don't like what's going on. Now, it might seem so obvious, like, how can you not know you don't like what's going on? But actually, many of us have been conditioned to suppress that information, to suppress our own natural desires and preferences, to the point where we actually have trouble identifying them. And that's, you know, that's just how we are at this point in our lives. And so anger is a sign that part of you is just not that at all. Part of you has retained complete understanding of what you want and need. And that part of you is pissed, you know, not at you, at the boundary crossing, at the breaking of the line, of the crossing of the line of what you do and don't want. So anger, when we talk about my preferences matter, anger is one of the really valuable tools to let us know that what we prefer is not being respected. Now, let me just be really clear. I do not want to begin to say other people have control over our experience. So I'm not saying, so go get respect, because I want you to know that we do create our own reality, but we do it in habitual ways. So we have the same responses over and over again, and therefore we get the same experience over and over again. So we must break the pattern. And one of the ways we can break the pattern is by honoring our anger. How do we break the pattern with respect to anger? Well, first of all, we stop judging ourselves for being angry. Anger is a really valuable response. Anger basically is what arises when we have not been able to simply articulate our preference, right? So if we do something as simple as ice cream, right? So here's chocolate and vanilla ice cream, and I prefer chocolate. And someone says, you know, what do you prefer? And because I've been conditioned to be good, and I see there's only 1 scoop of chocolate left and there's 7 scoops of vanilla, maybe I say, oh, I'll have vanilla, right? That's being nice. And so then we have the vanilla, but something inside us is pissed. And actually, we might even feel anger at them for not checking or not understanding or not knowing. It's all kind of irrational, right? Or let's say chocolate vanilla. Let's say I want chocolate, and there's 1 scoop and 7 scoops. And I say, well, I'd like chocolate. And then the person might even say, well, you know, there's only 1 scoop of chocolate left, and, you know, so-and-so really loves chocolate. Would it be okay if I gave you vanilla? And then we'd be nice. We say, oh, okay, yeah. And we're like, how come so-and-so is more important? So the anger might be a sort of a thing that reacts to our habit of lack of allowing ourselves to want what we want. And then the next level is chocolate vanilla. We say, oh, I'd like chocolate, please. And the other person says, you can't have chocolate. Like, you know, so then the anger might be more direct. So what we're basically talking about is the anger is a sign that we are not, for whatever reason, aligned with what we want. We aren't able to articulate it. We aren't able to manifest it. And if we have a particularly long relationship with someone, there might be a lot of patterns in place where they are very skilled at making sure we don't get what we want. And if that's the case for you, then your anger is very, very, very helpful to you to let you know, yes, no, this is not okay. I do remember this one guy, though, that Abraham talks about at the airport, and he got really angry over something, his seat being in the wrong place or whatever. And after futilely demanding that they change whatever it was he wanted changed, he said, "This is unacceptable," and stormed off, thereby accepting it. So what we have to understand is anger is an important piece of data, but is not a particularly skillful tool for manifesting what we want. So how we interact with our anger is very, very important. So this leads us to make a clear distinction between anger as a felt experience, anger as a communication from our nervous system, a communication from our emotional guidance system, versus anger as a behavior, right? So acting out of anger tends to be unskillful. It's really very rare that acting out of anger generates what you want, and or generates long-term results. At least some people can bully the situation enough to get what they want, but it won't generate the long-term results. And so then what to do about anger? And so first of all, let's know there's a lot of momentum here. And if you do not understand about momentum, it's going to be really hard to understand how to turn around something that has as much momentum as anger. But momentum is an accumulation of things, right? It's just an accumulation. That's what momentum is. It accumulates thought after thought, experience after experience, belief after belief. And eventually you get going with a series of beliefs that reflect what has happened. And then because those beliefs are operating in your mind, they generate thoughts that conform with those beliefs. And so now you're sort of walking out of the world, recreating the experience you had in the past. And that's how momentum carries experience forward. So what we need to do is we need to decide now, today, in this moment, that we are going to start cultivating two things. The first is just unconditional joy. Now this isn't super easy. I'm not going to say it's super easy, but it is really valuable because unconditional joy means I don't care what asshole behavior you're engaged in, I'm not letting you take my joy. Here's my joy. I'm not letting you take it. It's mine and I'm keeping it, right? So anger and joy don't necessarily need to be at odds. So the anger arises in you and says, oh, I don't like what's going on here. And then you say, great. Hold on, I gotta dismiss a message. Then you say, great. You say, okay, great. Thank you for that clarification that this is not what I want, right? Got it. Let myself settle, feet on the floor, settle into your body. And then you can say, I am determined to find my way to happiness in this moment. I'm not going to wait for external conditions to change to justify my happiness. I'm just going to declare my right to feel good right now. Now, this is a big practice, but it's a really powerful practice. And if you make the decision, then you start to be able to find ways to do it. So that's the first thing. Don't give away your joy to the first person who makes you angry. And then the second thing we have to do is cultivate day by day circumstances that we like, where we say, you know, I don't like this, and so I do get to change it. I don't like this, and so I do get to change it. I don't like waking up to this situation. Great. I'm going to do my best to change this situation. Now, with the understanding that a lot of momentum is carrying through in a situation that has existed for a long time, you must be working on the first part first, the Blissipline part, like how I'm going to notice when I feel angry. I'm going to say, yes, thank you for that clarification from my internal guidance system. I do not like this. Thank you. Anger is that showing me that my boundary has been crossed. Got it. Thank you. Feet on the floor. And now, how can I feel better? So perhaps in this moment, I'm going to step away, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to mention this later because I do want to change this. I am going to have the courage to stand up for what I want. And you don't actually have to, because it's not an action step. But if you won't express what you want, then just know that that's a reflection of the whole situation, right? And so it might take some time to shift the momentum on this, but you must be focused on your well-being first, and it must be focused on your unconditional well-being. I have a right to be happy no matter what your behavior is. You do not get to control my well-being, right? 2, on honoring my desire to change the situation, right? Just honoring it. Like, okay, silly example, but I bought this little thing. It's a, I don't know what it's called. It's a little indicator. You strap it on your glass, and every 20 or 30 minutes it flashes at you to remind you to drink water. Now, I had been trying to get myself to drink water for ages. And finally I saw this and I thought, that's a lot of money for a stupid little piece of plastic. But I thought, what if? So I went ahead and got it for myself. And actually now I've been drinking tons of water, and I have this nice blue bottle that I'm using. I just refill it every morning. And I even, okay, now's when you really laugh at me. I even created this little bottle shelter because the sun streams in and heats up the water. So I have it like this, and I have the bottle in the shelter. Now, and FYI, the blue bottle and the blue glass are not an accident. So there are a number of circumstances here that are all designed to reflect what I want, right? I've gone to quite a lot of steps to make this the way I like, and that's fine. That is totally fine. And let me just acknowledge, I mentioned a minute ago, I thought, oh, that's a lot of money for that little thing. It's like 20 bucks, right? Now, 20 bucks is 20 bucks. It's not like a crazy amount to spend on something, but even that thought, oh, that's a lot of money to spend on that thing, I'm just going to acknowledge is connected back to these deep sense of my needs don't matter, my worthiness is, questionable. Like, do I really deserve to spend $20? And so now when those kinds of thoughts come up, I'm more aware of them. I'm not saying I'm immune to them at all, by the way. You notice when I first said it just now, I didn't say, and then I had this crazy thought. It's a lot. No, I acknowledged the thought as if it were reality during this video. So you can see it's still alive for me, right? But I know also that this thought that this is too much money for what it's cost reflects this deep sense of like, Mary, do you really need a $20 flashing light to remember to drink water? Because couldn't you just drink water by yourself? I mean, so I'm sure I know this voice. So it's still in me, right? No problem. The conditioning is strong, but my preferences matter. My preferences matter. I like drinking water. I thought, what if it would work? And it's working, by the way. I love it. It makes me drink a lot of water. So this dance of desire and anger and conditioning and worthiness and speaking out and interacting with other people, this dance is part of what we're all doing, and you're doing it in exactly your way. But what I want to just conclude with today is, in the moments that you don't stand up for what you want, or don't even acknowledge what you want, your anger, or maybe it's going to feel more like resentment, which is kind of like anger that's not allowed to be really expressed, or it's just a different version, right? Your anger or resentment is sitting there to remind you. It's like poking you, saying, Mary, you don't like that. It's reminding you don't like that. And in that moment, the best thing to do is say, thank you, my anger, for telling me. You will learn to love it. You will learn to really love that signal. Thank you for reminding me. And now I have my 2 jobs. First is to feel better. That's number 1. You're not going to do anything well while you're angry. You're just not. I mean, okay, yell at someone, but it's not going to help. First is to feel better. They don't get to take your joy. You get to hold on to your joy. They can be whatever kind of a jerk they want. They don't get it. My joy, my joy. I get to choose how I feel. I get to choose my well-being. I get to focus on what I find important. And then from that better place, allowing yourself to take the steps to create what you want. And in that better place, by the way, you will get more and more and more and more in touch with what is called inspired action, which is the action that will lead towards what you want. All right, so just the reclaiming anger there. That's my little message today. Feel free to post any questions or any disagreements if you don't agree with me. And maybe I'll talk to you on Thursday at 1 o'clock New York time if you want to get in on that. And your preferences matter, my friend. Your preferences matter.